Welcome to Rainbow Soul Vodcast, where our Soulstrology comes forward to help you manage your everyday life, with forecasts and deep dives on natal charts and queer perspectives on the planets, transits, and more. A group discussion about upcoming transits with tips on how to read these transits in your own chart. Hollis offers years of wisdom and natal chart knowledge with Bright Hawk's positive perspective and Lacrosse's inquiry. We offer the complete queer astrology experience. Welcome to Rainbow Soul. Please help us by subscribing, sharing, and commenting and reviewing. You can also learn where else Rainbow Soul is offered on our website at rainbowsoul.show.
Hello there, and welcome to Rainbow Soul Soulstrology astrology forecast from October 30th until November 5th. Hey, I know the dates this time. Mercury's probably well placed. And I'm Hollis Taylor, and I'm an astrologer. I'm also a psychic and a medium and a tarot reader and whatnot. And you can get a reading with me online at my website, and the link is in the description. And go ahead.
Hi, I'm Bright Hawk. I'm an author, artist, musician, storyteller. You can learn more about my book, The Dancing Hippo, which is a really fun book about resilience and being your most fabulous self, dancing under the moon, and who doesn't love doing a hippo dance trance. Great holiday gift, by the way. And you can get that at brighthawkproductions.com. And
Hi, I'm Lacrosse Ortiz. I am the creator of the Flu's Journey color journals. Once again, still working on them. I'll get them done.
And what a great holiday gift that would be,
Yes.
too. If you have a friend or something that's trying to, or a young person, teenager or something, that wants to master tarot, that's an excellent idea.
Yeah. So you follow the code, the keywords, and you color and ponder them, and then you journal. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Awesome.
One day I'll get a website.
Yeah. All right. So, let's take a minute to ground and center. Take a deep breath. Now, as you get centered and you're here and you're now, take some deep breaths. I want to invite you to just walk a path. You can focus down first on your feet walking along the path. As the daytime turns to evening and it gets slightly darker, as you're walking along this path, and at some point you decide to stop. And when you come to a stop, you look up. As the sky begins to darken and the stars begin to pop out of the sky, as you watch those stars pop one at a time, and they show up more and more in each breath. As the sky gets fuller and fuller of stars and planets, you begin to realize the So the moon is not showing itself. And you could begin to realize the expansion of the universe, the hugeness of it. How some stars are clearly further away than others. How some of them twinkle and some of them don't. And you take a moment to wonder about the possibilities. Whether it be life on other planets, our connections to other planets, other universes, and our connection to the sky here and now, and how that influences or is a reflection of what we have in astrology. It's sort of like what came first, the chicken or the egg. Do we influence the stars or do the stars influence us? Maybe it's just a reflection. As above, so below. And the stars and the expansive universe helps you understand that it's actually a map. It's a map to your life, to your future, to what will happen next week, to how to deal with things, how to manifest a better reality, how to change the way we think. It's a map. Trick is learning to read it. And as you take a deep breath, I invite you to come back down into yourself and to look down at your feet and become grounded in the here and now as you become present in your body. Couple more deep breaths. And just become present for your body, for your awareness, for your experience right now. And allow it to be. And then just wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, maybe smile and open your eyes and come back into your body in the here and now. Great job. Good job, Bright Hawk. Thank you. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. So, what a week it's already been for you, for everybody. I guess 2 weeks now with this eclipse. I just want to say you might be noticing, even me, I noticed this morning, and I tend to feel things sometimes right on time or very early, is that I felt frustrated. There's a couple of things I still can't do as I'm recovering, and that's just like annoying to me. And I'm sure everyone is probably noticing a little bit of frustration. I thought about it today about like, what is that frustration supposed to teach me? Is it supposed to teach me patience? Is it supposed to make my I've never been really good at getting better, like the whole healing process for myself. For others, I'm super patient. For everybody else, but for me, I'm like, what's wrong with you? Get better, you know? And like I want it to happen fast. Like I get frustrated with whatever I can't do. And I thought, well, it might just be about patience. It might just be about expanding our string of patience, maybe adding an extra string. You know, when you run out of string and you're like, oh shit, and you got to tie another string to it. Maybe that's what it's about. So if you're struggling out there, you know, Jupiter and Mars are having a conversation that's probably helping you feel a little frustrated this week, or late last week and into this week. So hang in there. It's okay. We're going to get through this and try to, you know, maybe you ask a similar question than I asked. I could have spent a lot of time in the frustration, and instead I spent some time asking, what the hell am I supposed to learn from this? And I said it that way. Okay. I was cussing at my fridge this morning. Okay. We all have moments. We all have moments.
I don't know. Mine, it's like that. It could be the slightest thing, and I'm just like, oh.
Yeah.
It's like small conniptions I keep having. I get so frustrated.
That's exactly what happened to me. That the like stupid produce store wouldn't close. And the butter was behind it, and I was like, oh my god. So I had to like pull the produce store out, get the butter and the produce store back. It's such a stupid small thing, you know? And here I am cussing at my fridge for it. So I feel silly when that happens. So all right. Well, let's take a look at this week.
October 30th and to November 5th.
Yep.
So we're still in Scorpio season. Happy birthday, Scorpios. And we're just 2 days on the other side of the full moon. So the moon is a waning gibbous moon, starting to shed back down.
Yep. And like I mentioned, Jupiter is opposing Mars and Mercury, which happened late last, like Saturday, Sunday. That's when it really happened. You might have felt it a little bit earlier. You're probably definitely feeling it by the time you hear this. You know, Mars and Mercury together, they always make me feel like you're gonna cuss somebody out. And in Scorpio, I'm like, oh yeah, you're definitely gonna cuss somebody. I mean, I cussed out the fridge this morning. So, you know, I mean, if you
better thing than a someone.
For sure. So, you know, I'm gonna suggest that you make sure you do your morning practice. Make sure you do whatever you need to do to make your fuse a little bit longer, whatever that is. Self-care, take a walk, go work out, do some yoga. whatever works for you, I'm going to recommend that you do that, because you're going to need it in this week and the week following. Okay. So you're just going to need to make your fuse a little bit longer. That's all. And Jupiter does make things bigger. And Mercury will move out of there pretty quick, but Mars is going to hang out. All right. And the other thing that starts off the week, that's actually good, is that Uranus will trine Venus, which is pretty much, Venus is pretty much about our physical things, but it's also like the things we love, and so figuring out how to get the things we love or get on the path to the things we love, that's going to be really important, and that's going to be what's going to happen. It's going to happen really easily, and with the Sun trine Vesta, it's probably, you could even find yourself looking for your spiritual direction, and being able to find it pretty quickly, because the Sun is just, heads you that way, and a trine is easy to navigate, and Vesta is about your spiritual path. So finding your spiritual path this week won't be hard, which is good, since Jupiter is in opposition to Mars, with some frustration there. It could be easy if you just try to tap in to some of your more spiritual tools to deal with frustration and anger or other things that can be kind of annoying, like annoying energies. That's what you want to do. And the part of fortune is also in a trine to Mars and Mercury. So I also feel like there's a part of you that might say some things, even if you say some things that might be seen as wrong or bad or whatever. You might think that they are, but they're actually probably leading you to a better place. So stay open. Try not to judge yourself too harshly. How's the moon? You said it was waning?
Yeah, because we had the full moon on the 28th on the eclipse day, and now it's 2 days later, so it's just starting to shed, and we call that a waning gibbous moon. And so we have a lot of T-squares with the moon this week. The moon is squaring Lilith on one side and Saturn on the other, and it's at the fulcrum point. So if you take Saturn, go straight across, there's Lilith, and the moon is in a T-square. So what do we know about T-squares? That oppositions, it's not a blending, it's an either or. So Lilith is in Virgo, and Saturn is in Pisces, and the moon, of course, is in Gemini. So when the moon is in Gemini, it actually answers to Mercury, which it's almost opposite. It'll, as the day goes on, it'll be opposite Mercury and the sun. So Mercury, well, first, the moon in Gemini, we know Gemini is the twins, which means it's mutable air, and it's thinking. It's Gemini's known for being diplomatic and a great life of the party, great networker. When we think about Mercury, we think about the mind, reasoning, communication, language, intelligence. Duality is part of Mercury, which is why it rules Gemini, which is also about duality. It's about the twins, right? It's also about luck, personal magnetism. Oh, sorry, that was Venus. Mercury is about the mind, writing, memory, creating associations, symbols, skills, short journeys, movement, transportation, versatility. Mercury is siblings. It's rules the arms, hands, nerves, lungs, and the shoulders. So the moon is answering to Mercury, and I'm going to try to start helping us sort of expand on that, because I've spent a lot of months talking about the moon in each sign. So now I'm going to talk a little bit more about the rulers of each sign, so we can sort of start to broaden our strokes on that one. So Lilith, we know, is sort of the badass. Don't tell me what to do. I'll do what I bloody well please. She is righteous. She is freedom loving. And opposite Saturn. Saturn is the cool father, the rules, the structures. So, in a dialogue with the moon, arbitrating it, because the moon is at the T of the T square. At the same time, the moon is also in a square to Juno. Juno's all about our loyalties. It's in a square to Saturn, because obviously that T square. And it's in a trine to Pluto, which is nice. Pluto, represents the higher octave of Mars, not Mercury. Sorry. It's in a trine to Pluto, and Pluto's about transformation. So those are nice aspects. A little bit of a challenge on the beginning of the week. A lot of squares, I'll tell you that. And squares mean you might have to make some decisions. You might have to make a choice.
Okay. So the thing about rulers is really important, I just want to say, because, if you have an empty house, like in this chart, if you look at the number 1, there's nothing in there, right? And then people make all kinds of assumptions about their houses in their charts being empty. Oh, I've seen all kinds of funny stories. So anyway, it doesn't mean you won't have any kids or you'll never get married or you have no personality, because the first house is about personality. No, what it means is that, first of all, the house is not empty. The house has a zodiac sign. And so if you look at the zodiac sign there in the very first line, which would be Sagittarius on this chart, where that arrow is, that's the first line. You want to go from you want to start where 1 is, and you want to go in that order, right? Go down to the bottom and up. Okay, so that's the order you want to go. Whatever zodiac the first line is in, we call that on the cusp. So you could say the first house is on the cusp of Sagittarius. The second house is on the cusp of Capricorn. Okay, and what that means is that that part of your life, that piece of the pie, is part of Sagittarius. So the first house is part of Sagittarius. So who rules Sagittarius? You can get little cheat sheets online. It's hard to remember at first. You have to keep practicing. And Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So if you look at this particular chart, you can see Jupiter looks like the number 4 over there in the 5th house. It's at 10 degrees Taurus. And so that's going to be the interpretation that you take. You would then apply the 5th house, what house it's in, and then you also apply the other zodiac that it's in and the energy of whatever the house is that is so-called empty. Okay, so...
And so the ruler of the house, when you look at the ruler, or sometimes they call it the depositor of that house, then you also look at what house the ruler. So in this case, we talked about Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, which is sitting in the 5th house in this chart, in Taurus. And so is Jupiter happy in Taurus? And so then we look at, is it exalted? Is it in fall? Is it weak? Is it strong? These are the things that astrologers look at when we're evaluating the chart. And that's why we talk about aspects so much, because that tells you everything about the conversation going on.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a conversation that's a happy conversation, which we call a trine, or is it a super challenging, which could be an opposition, or a creative, active, challenging, but you need to make a decision? Those can be squares, things like that you hear us talk about all the time. This is why we talk about it, because that's the flavor and the content, for sure. The content and the context, actually.
Yeah, so I just also want to mention, so what that ends up meaning is that Mars over there that I mentioned was in opposition to Jupiter. The reason that's going to stand out a lot, the reason that's going to be the focus of our next week or two, is because Mars is the traditional ruler of Scorpio. Okay, so Mars rules Scorpio. So when it's in Scorpio, it's louder, it's bigger, and it's more like in your face. Okay, now Mercury, on the other hand, rules Virgo, and it's not in Virgo right now. It's in Scorpio. I don't think it's in detriment in Scorp, but
No.
it is
Mercury's in detriment in Sag and Pisces.
okay. So yeah, so Mercury being in Scorpio, it's just kind of plain, okay? But Mars is yelling, okay? Because of where it is right now. Okay? And so each one of these zodiacs has a ruling planet. So, for instance, Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, and it's very loud right now. And Neptune has a lot to do with illusions. Do you think there might be some people under illusion right now? Yeah,
Well,
we were wondering where fake news and all of that, why that's been going on. Neptune and Pisces, okay? That's why that's been going on for quite some time now. Neptune's a slow moving planet and it kind of brings that energy with it. Okay? So that's what you want to, that's what you, if as you start to look at your chart, you definitely want to pay attention to who's the ruling planet because that will affect, it will add the details to your reading. Okay? So let's go to the next day, Tuesday. The part of fortune is opposite Pluto. And as you can see, that's the darkest red line there across. And the part of fortune is in Cancer. Now, most of the asteroids don't really have, they're not a ruling planet for anything. But Pluto is, okay? So the part of fortune is opposing Pluto, and then that means that it's going to be one or the other. So, but the thing is that the part of fortune is in Cancer and Pluto's in Capricorn, and Capricorn is more about money and finances. So I would give you a heads up that you are careful about your finances on this day, because if you're trying to make a different choice or pay something or whatever, you could easily make a mistake because it's opposing. They're in opposite sides and they're not really cooperating with each other. So I would say be careful what you buy on this day. Because Pluto rules Scorpio. Okay. So and Pluto and Capricorn, it's been there for a long time. So, and it's, yeah.
For a very long time. It's a very, very slow mover.
And it's in detriment over there in Taurus or in Virgo, but not where it is now. It's just kind of plain.
What does it mean by detriment?
Well, it means that if it's there, it could be even more challenging. So
it's not strong. It's
yeah, it's kind of not that it's whispering, but that it could mean a trip and fall. It could mean climbing stairs rather than going down the stairs. Okay. So if it's in detriment, then it could add to the challenge.
Right.
Okay.
So happy Halloween. This is the 31st we're talking about. Happy Samhain. Happy anniversary.
Yeah. It's my anniversary.
Happy anniversary to Lacrosse and his wife. Yeah.
So it's interesting that you said that because the moon is in Gemini, and we know Gemini can often mean you're going to do things twice, right?
Mm.
So on this day, it's a void moon because it's on its way out. It's in a sextile to Chiron, but check it out. It's in a yod, a finger of God, and the base is Chiron and the moon, and it's pointing at Mercury and Ceres. So here we go again, where there's that repeat theme. Chiron is about our health. The moon is about our emotions. Mercury is about communication, and Ceres is about what are we nurturing, what are we birthing, what are we creating in this world. So the challenge is a square to Venus, but a trine to Pallas, Athena, which is your strategy. So your strategy is blessed. And remember, when we talk about a finger of God, these are quincunxes, which means it's destined energy. There's no point in resisting. You can get pissed if you want to, but it doesn't help. What does help is, breathing, paying attention to what the energy is trying to tell you, and get going with the flow. Really paying attention to what's being communicated and what it is that you're here to create. Okay. So that's powerful energy, I have to say. Might not be the easiest, but it is potent.
Yeah, it might. Yeah. Well, in the there's still trines in the sky, so some things, relationships probably will be okay, and your spiritual, like I said, your spiritual following your spiritual tools and stuff like that will be the most helpful thing you could do. So if you have a spiritual practice or something like that, make sure you're doing it, especially on Halloween.
Right.
Okay. And it's a holy holiday in my world. It's a high holiday in my world. It's like one of the highest holidays for anyone that follows the wheel of the year, because it's considered right in between. It's actually we call it our new year. So because it sort of begins it sort of is the end, right, which is represented by death and stuff like that, and the new year. So that sounds pretty important holiday.
For sure.
So November 1st, which is All Fools Day. And
All Souls Day.
Sorry, All Souls Day. Did I say fools?
I think
All Souls Day.
All Souls Day.
Okay,
Or
but somewhere
Dia de los Muertos.
somewhere
Dia de
between.
los Muertos.
Okay.
See.
And so I would definitely do from October 30th to like November 2nd. Take a moment, take a meal to set up for your ancestors, okay? Honor your ancestors, especially with Vesta trining the moon. Trining the sun. It will make it more spiritual for you to honor the dead. So find a way to honor the dead. My way was to have a meal and set up an empty place for the dead. I did that many times. And I think if you have kids, that's a really great way to honor the dead. And I think even when my son was really small, it helped him understand that the dead were no longer with us, but they were with us in a different way. It helped him come to terms with what death meant, especially losing his grandfather at like 6, 7 years old. Okay. So now on this day, why did I say Pluto is squaring the part of fortune? That's not what's happening. It's weird. Pluto's in conjunct the moon, but I don't know why I said that. But what I do see is that Jupiter is square the part of fortune. And Jupiter in Taurus is about financial things. So again, this is November 1st, October 30th through like November 2nd. Just be careful about how you're spending your money. Pay attention. You mean to pay $100 and you actually accidentally pay 1,000 or something like that. Okay. And that could be a pain in the butt. So just be careful about where you're spending your money.
Yeah. Okay, so on the 1st, the moon comes home. The moon is home in Cancer, and you know what it feels like when you come home. You're like, I can do what I want.
Because the moon rules Cancer.
The moon rules Cancer. And remember, the moon is all about our emotions, the unconscious, It's about, our instincts, our habits, whether we feel like we belong or we don't. Um, it's about alienation. It's about the masses. It's about um, uh, well, the moon also, I also want to say what the moon rules. The moon rules the body parts of the stomach, the breasts, and the pancreas. So you can always picture the moon having a nice meal when it gets home, right? When you get home, that's usually what most of us focus on. What's there to eat, So the moon is home in Cancer, and it's got some really pretty good aspects. It's trining Saturn, which is lovely, and in a sextile to Lilith, and it's in a square to Venus and a square to Neptune, which actually creates a T square. So you have Neptune and Venus opposite each other, sort of at noon and 6 o'clock in this chart. And then over at 3 o'clock, you see the moon. So that T square, again, the moon is sort of being the referee in the conversation about Neptune, what are your dreams, visions, even illusions, and Venus being, your values, your relationships, sensuality, material goods, things like of that nature. So that thing that you keep saying about careful how you spend your money, that T square is definitely saying that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
try not to get illusioned.
Yeah, try not to have too many illusions about it.
Maybe just wait a couple days before you buy that thing, You can always wait a few days. That's what I do.
Yeah, that's a definitely good advice.
Mm-hmm. And when you get to the second, things get a little bit easier. Things start to loosen up a little bit. This is Thursday. Jupiter is sextiling Vesta, which I think is really good because Jupiter is going to, if you've been doing your spiritual practice through Samhain, Halloween, then, then you're going to find some strength in it. You're going to find some expansion. You're going to grow from it somehow. And it's going to trine the sun, which is your forward way. It's your way you got to go. And it's also sextiling Lilith. So, like, Vesta is also sextiling Lilith, which leads you to more independent. So I would say that your spirituality is going to grow on this day, especially if you've been engaging Vesta earlier in the week, right? You set up a empty place, maybe at the table, maybe you set up an altar, maybe you went for a walk in the cemetery, I don't know. But those kinds of things are a great way to honor the dead, and that's a good thing. Still be, you'd probably be pretty good about managing your money at this point. I would still wait another day before I did anything. And the good news is that the part of fortune is trine the north node. So it's finally come into a better placement. Part of fortune moves pretty quick. So it's going to help you, realize, oh, I should probably not buy that, or I should probably pay this instead of that, or whatever it is. Okay. So managing your money, and Neptune opposing Venus, just want to be aware of your relationships and any illusions around those relationships. Especially with Neptune retrograde in Pisces.
Well, I have to say Thursday is a great day from the moon's perspective. There are really, really positive aspects, starting with the sun trine the moon. The sun and the moon are having a great conversation, and it's giving kisses to everybody, and that's beautiful. It's trining Mars, which is also positive action. It's in a sextile to Jupiter, which is going to amplify that. It's in a trine to Mercury, so you can talk about it. If you're doing readings, Thursday's a great day. And there's a square to Chiron, but I think that, that can be making sure you are doing the right things to take care of yourself.
I would say readings would be good for people that are moon based.
Moon
So
okay.
that there's two different kinds of readers.
Mm.
Some people are more moon like,
Mm-hmm.
and they have a really well placed moon somehow. Okay, and it could be there's like a million different ways it could be. And then there are some psychics that are a little bit more Neptune based.
Oh, sure.
They tend to be yeah, it's just a little different of a feel. And sometimes it's fine for either one. But on this day, if you're a professional and you're doing readings, hopefully you know what kind of reader you are, whether you're a Neptune. And if you don't know, you can arrange a reading with me and I'll tell you. You're a Neptune-based reader or a moon-based reader or both. Or there's some readings that you engage your intuition, where others you engage your psychic abilities. So I would say Neptune is a little bit more psychic and the moon is more intuitive, which is those two things are different.
Yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. Interesting. Well, with the sun trine moon, I just think that's a blessing, big blessing for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
A big
definitely. And so that also applies to everybody has an intuition. All of us do.
Of course.
And some of us are better at listening to it than others. So what that means is if you have an intuitive sense about something, follow it. Follow it. Yeah. Go that way.
Go that way.
Mm-hmm. All right. And on Friday, ta-da! I did notice that there was a grand trine in water.
Yep.
And that's actually really good news, because that will help any emotional imbalances from early in the week kind of balance themselves out. They'll work themselves out by Friday, and you know you'll find an emotional balance, even though that opposition is still going on between Mars and Jupiter, which will be pretty loud, right? And so will the Neptune-Venus opposition, because Neptune, remember how I was saying rulers, Mars rules Scorpio, so it's loud and it's in opposition to Jupiter. Okay, so it's gonna Jupiter's going to accentuate and make louder anger, frustration, and things like that. War, maybe. And Neptune in opposition to Venus. Now Neptune is also in its rulership, and so it's also going to be loud. So there could be some illusions about what we love.
The thing about Venus and Neptune is that Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. And both of those signs, people who have addictions, trouble with drugs and alcohol, the not knowing when it's enough, going for too much, those two signs, that's the challenge there between Neptune. Neptune is, definitely about delusion and deception, and Venus is about your relationships with those things. With Venus is about, your attractions, your personal magnetism, money, mother love, sensuality, bonding energy, harmony, and merging. In case you're curious, Venus rules the kidneys, urinary tract, blood, throat, and the larynx. Neptune rules the pineal gland, the thalamus, the spinal canal, and the general bodily nervous process.
Notice how Neptune rules the pineal gland, which is believed to believed to be the center of our psychic ability.
Very interesting. That's very true. Isn't that interesting? Very interesting.
Anyway.
Okay, so there's a little piece about Venus and Neptune. They're very related.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, just hang in there.
Grand trine water is a big blessing. Big water is all
hopefully
about
there'll be some emotional resolution to things.
Yeah.
Is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Emotional resolution to some things.
Yeah.
Although those oppositions will still be in the sky.
Yeah. The moon is trining Neptune. It's trining Mercury. And that's what's making that grand trine. It's in a sextile to Venus. So, it's also opposite Pluto.
And Jupiter opposing Mars is going to be going on for all of this week and next week.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a couple of weeks. Okay. All
right,
now
the weekend.
Uranus comes into an opposition with Ceres on this day. This is Saturday, November 4th. So Uranus is in opposition to Ceres and Mercury.
Mhm.
So I'm just going to say, if you're not paying attention to your path, you're going to knock yourself off your path here. So, it's going to be easy to kind of knock yourself off. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you engage in whatever is meant to be for you. What is for you. You know what's for you. So if you have a morning practice, you have an exercise practice, you have something else you're supposed to be doing, do it. Don't step, because otherwise it'll be easy to step off your path on this day. Okay?
Yeah, this is why they call it a practice, just to.
Yeah, but on this day in particular, it's
a good idea. It's very important. The moon is in Leo, and it's now in its last quarter phase, sometimes called a half moon. It's in a square to Sun and Jupiter. So that's another T-square. I told you at the beginning of the week, we had a lot of T-squares. This is another one. So Jupiter opposite the Sun, and then it go to a T with the moon. So the moon is the arbitrator of that conversation.
In a fire sign, eh?
In fire, yeah, for sure. So not exactly.
Could be a little intense.
Could be intense. Sun and Jupiter is going to be big energy, period. And yeah, so that's not as easy on Saturday.
Yeah, but like I said, stay on your spiritual practice.
Yep.
That's what's going to get you through this week, is staying committed to whatever your practice is. Stay on your practice. And on Sunday, the part of fortune moves into Libra. So that's kind of good because Venus rules Libra. Okay. And so Venus is about financial things. And I would say that the part of fortune and Venus have some sort of relationship in a good way. So when the part of fortune moves into Venus, it's also Venus is also in a trine with Pluto. So all of a sudden you could be making some better choices about your money. Woohoo! By Sunday you got it down, okay? So you figured out whatever it is you were supposed to do or how you were supposed to do it. Now's a better time to deal with your money. Okay? And the North Node is in opposition to Pallas Athena. So that's about strategy going forward. So like I said, just stay committed to your spiritual practice. That will be the best thing you can do. And also spend some time with those you love on this day, because of Venus in opposition to Neptune. There could be a need for more of that, especially with Juno trine Jupiter. You have the opportunity to kind of grow a relationship or make better a relationship, especially if you've been struggling. Try to make a little extra time on this day.
Well, the positives are a trine to Chiron and a trine to the North Node. When, of course, the moon is in Leo, it answers to the sun because the sun is the ruler of Leo. So remember I told you we're having a lot of T-squares? Well, guess what? Remember how Hollis was just talking about the Uranus opposite Sun and Mars? Well, the arbiter now is the moon. So that T-square where the moon is, the sort of can help you balance those two energies. There's no balance in an opposition, but there can be a place where you can have a conversation to sort of a third party, if you will, that can sort of be the cooler mind. Because Uranus is revolutionary and Mars is action and the sun is also, shine bright. So So that's kind of some potent energy right there.
Mm-hmm.
So a little bit of a challenge. It's also squaring Ceres and it's squaring Mercury. So a lot of squares there.
Yeah, we have a little bit of an intense week.
Sunday doesn't feel
And next
exactly.
week gonna happen. And like I said, the best thing you can do is engage in your spiritual practice or any commitments you might have, especially dedications and things like that you have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely, this is the week, 1031 and 11/1. It's definitely the week to do any kind of ceremony that you feel called to do for yourself. Thursday's energy is great. That's really the shining star of the week is Thursday with, Grand Trine Thursday, and then there's a Grand Trine in water on Friday. So hopefully it's not too
Wednesday and
emotional.
Friday will be the easiest days, probably. Yeah.
So there you go. That's the week of October 30th to November 5th.
Yeah. Eventually, there we go. All right. Did you have anything that you wanted to share, Lacrosse?
Wow, I was thinking about how you were saying caution. Like all I keep hearing is caution, caution, caution. Like just be careful. And this is we're still in the season of the snake, and snakes are not compulsive. Snakes, like if they attack, it's for a reason. If they do something, there's always something behind it. But most of the time it's very calculated. They don't just come up and bum rush and go and attack their prey. They're calculating, they're cautious because they have to make sure that they get the proper angle so that way they can reap the benefits of that strike. So I think in this time, it's like right now, just use so much caution and calculations and don't be compulsive. Don't just do it on a whim because it might not work out very well for you. You might end up losing more. So if a snake were to do that and it loses its meal, that's life or death for it.
Yeah.
So in the same
Yeah.
token, if you do it too quickly, you might end up being in a situation that is far worse than what you started with. So
Yeah, exactly. So I think we're gonna navigate this okay. And snakes also they represent healing.
Yeah.
And in spirituality, and they also represent like in my opinion, like some spiritual paths, many spiritual paths, because most of the time spirituality makes us shed, right?
Yep.
So I was thinking, yeah, follow the snake.
Yeah.
That's the energy.
And get ready for the transformation.
Right.
Yeah.
Ready for the change.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Fascinating. And, from eclipse time, there's always the couple of weeks after the eclipses and what did the eclipses set in motion for you? And, there's a lot of energy right now. So being mindful, being thoughtful, intentional, those are all really good words right now.
Right. Yeah, awesome. You got this. Remember, this is not about scaring you or making you worry. This is about preparing you and just helping you recognize that our connection to the stars and whatever that might be, however you might interpret that, but also that how to engage in that energy when things aren't great. And I find that knowing the astrology can really help with that. Okay. So today I'm going to pull 3 cards. Which is I'm looking at it going, okay. All right. All right, let me pin this up so you guys can see the cards well. All right. So this card is in the past position. It's the 6 of Wands. It's pretty much about community and those who support you. It's about the community that you're surrounded by. Now, it doesn't have to be queer community, but it might be. And this is the people that hold you up, the people that support you, the people that lift you up. This is a reminder of who those people are. This is a reminder of who you're connected to and how they support you. Okay? That's pretty much what that card is about. It's pretty much about the people that lift you up. Now, this is about the here and now this week. And this is pretty much about holding your emotion. And I would say that in the Ace of Cups, it's very spiritually managing your emotions, because this is a very spiritual card, you know. This is like a little fairy with the water, and water usually represents emotions. And if you look really close, it might come into focus. But those are little butterflies and bugs and stuff, which essentially mean manifestation. They're stars, and the symbology for, you know, water and ocean. And there's also pretty sure this is a bird in the background there. Could be a phoenix. Could also be a peacock. Makes me think of like a peacock. And those are all very spiritual things that I just mentioned. Okay, this is about becoming. This is about stepping into who you are. And what I've learned in my years of practice of spirituality is that when you engage your spirituality in a tough moment, in a rough minute, when you engage that, it gets stronger within you. Your connection to it is that much stronger. So pretty sure that that's what this is about engaging. Okay, what am I shedding? I've shed that last week. So how am I moving forward? I'm going to do this better this week. I'm going to make sure I do my morning practice this week. I'm going to make sure I go for a walk or work out or whatever it is. Okay. And that's exactly what this is about. Whatever is supposed to lead that. And it's going to lead you to, this is very Neptune-y, the page of cups, which is pretty much about following your intuition and your psychic ways, your third eye.
Pisces, there's like a little fish and
yeah, psychic. Pisces is very psychic sign, and because it's ruled by Neptune, right? So then the fish is sort of, this is about learning from your emotions. This is very much an empath's card. Empaths are developed usually from being in traumatic situations. We learn to be an empath, just like you can learn to be a psychic, just like you can learn to be intuitive. Okay, we can all learn it. And people learn to be an empath usually in traumatic situations, trauma, dysfunctional homes. People learn to read other people's emotions so that they can predict what that person will do. And then later on, it can be used for other things. Okay. But that's pretty much what an empath is. Okay. And that's pretty much what this is. This is about the emotions, awakening your third eye by having that experience of maybe having a couple crappy days and you doing your practice and being able to have a baseline that you didn't lose your frustration even in what would normally be a frustrating moment. Then you can notice how that morning practice really helps you, how working out always makes you more calm and you're less likely to yell at people, right? Or whatever it is. Okay. And whatever practice you have going on, that's what this is about. So remember, this is about the community and people that support you. Remember to tap into your support system, especially if you're having a rough day. You know, that's what support is for. And you know, there's a line to a song by Mamuse, and it says something like, when you reach out to me, you give me a chance to love you more. And when I reach out to you, I give you a chance to love me more. Okay? And so allow people that love you to support you, because that's their chance to love you more. Okay? And that's pretty much what that's about. And this is about your spiritual path. This is about navigating through tough emotions and allowing those emotions to help you grow, because As I said, if you use a spiritual tool of any kind, whether you're stoic, whether you're a witch, whether you are an astrologer and you just practice with the stars, whatever it is, however you practice, and you do a little bit of that, it makes you stronger in the end, and it makes you more connected to that spiritual path. And as you go forward, you'll find that your psychic and intuitive sense is that much higher, because now you've learned something, you've grown in that experience. Whatever was rough for you is now a little bit. Now you've learned something. So hopefully that'll help you this week. Hopefully you'll be able to navigate in the best way forward.
I'm sure you will. We wish you a very excellent week, and that you are inspired by this to share, thumbs up, write something in the comments. Let us know how your week went. How was your eclipse? If you
Subscribe.
have any questions, let us know. We're happy to answer them.
Yeah, and don't forget, like, if you're on YouTube, hit that little bell so that you'll get a notification. I know I'm not always consistent about the time that I post, but I do try to post on Mondays. But if you're on YouTube, that's what you do. You hit the little bell, and then you'll get a notification when I do post. Okay, and make your life a little easier. And thanks, and we'll see you next week.
Have a great one.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's Soulstrology and subscribing, liking, sharing, and reviewing. We hope you enjoy this dose of Soulstrology and encourage you to embrace the week ahead with an open mind and heart so that you may integrate the deepest of lessons from the stars. Take a moment to step outside and honor the planets, stars, and moon in the sky with your heart. Integrate the messages that resonate and leave the rest for someone else. We deeply appreciate each and every one of you. Always remember that you are a perfectly unique human with an exclusive star map of your destiny, your soul purpose, and your heart's desire. Thank you again for tuning in to Rainbow Soul.